5. I remember it this week. I think I goofed it last week. But this week we have a returning face. He's back after absence, 2 episodes?
Yeah, surprisingly.
Well, life
And
happens.
then I thought to myself,
so.
we could only, the last episode, we could only have, 2 epic red beards at a time, and that was Jake and Crad, so.
True. Mine's getting there. I'm about to cut it.
Yeah, yours is getting there.
I gotta cut it for work.
I said that. I said that, and I was like, oh, wait a second, his beard's a little red tinted. That's
just right here. Well, it goes into, phases. It goes blonde to regular, matches the rest, and then to red. Like the seasons change. You know,
right.
It's odd.
I feel that.
But, yeah, we are all together again. Well, SillyBird's here, but Sketchbird isn't. Neither is Talon. But, work with what we got. But, this episode, I think what we were going to discuss was what? Wasn't it?
Favorite movie monsters, types of scary movies. Maybe talk about scary movies that weren't meant for kids but became big hit with kids, stuff like that.
And then for some reason got a cartoon show in the 90s. Because those were the times. But
Kinds of kids shows that went over everybody's heads that were meant for adults but aren't really meant for adults, but kids like.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
And just compiling
in a nutshell.
Oh, yeah. I was just compiling a list. I didn't have many. I was like, I really don't have many. But, everyone else has probably got something. So who wants to go first?
I have a confession to make.
Posed the questions.
Uh-oh. SillyBoy has a confession. Hold on, I want to hear this.
Oh, okay.
I have a confession. So, I just got finished eating one of the best tasting pizzas that really hit my cheese niche, and it has pretzel crust.
You ate the pretzel crust.
Do you see that DiGiorno's? They have pickles on pizza. It's like a limited thing.
Oh, really? Like a cheeseburger pizza?
I don't know.
Other pizza places, well, not, I say other. There was a pizza chain that may have some stores still open called CC's, and they had a cheeseburger pizza with
interesting
burger and cheese and mayonnaise.
I've heard of
the sauce.
I've heard of CC's, never been in one.
Same here.
But
the price wasn't bad, honestly, for all you can eat pizza. But then I kind of figured out that they really kind of win, because if you don't want to be wasteful, you want to eat every single slice in its entirety, that crust is going to destroy you. So you're not gonna eat as much as you think you might, to kind of balance the cost in your mind.
Oh yeah. But that was our confession for the week.
Yeah. But hey, it had some amazing
that's our pizza.
cheese sauce.
True. Touche.
Anyway, Strange posted the questions, so
yeah. So when I think of movie monsters, I mean you have the classics like Dracula, werewolf, mummy, all that stuff.
Right.
Werewolf has kind of been always one of my favorites, but of course, then I've always liked the big monsters. So of course, Godzilla is one of my favorites. I don't care for King Kong though, but I've always liked Godzilla. Yeah.
Jurassic Park included in that, or
I like Jurassic Park. Yeah, I mean it's just dinosaurs.
Yeah, that's true. I'm wondering how sentient the monsters have to be.
It doesn't really have to. I mean, just any kind of monster. I mean, you could think of the Blob as a classic movie monster, which not a lot of sentience. It's just there.
Or Alvin and the Chipmunks meet the werewolf.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And then they the Scooby Doo one when it was that weird era where Shaggy had a red shirt.
My wife's son and I were at the library, and we were in the video section. I pulled out a Scooby Doo video. I was like, yes, because I remembered Scooby-Doo and Kiss.
Oh my goodness.
I have to admit, I'm not a very big Scooby-Doo fan, but one of my favorite movies was the one where Shaggy became a werewolf, and then they got locked into this wacky racers with all the horror movie tropes.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorites. I love that one. I can watch that one again and again.
Oh yeah. But going with monsters, early 2000s when they tried making Scooby-Doo serious? Kind of, Zombie Island?
Are you talking about the live actions?
No. The early 2000s movies where they're like, what if the monsters were real? Or like late 90s, I think.
Oh, I haven't
I think I
seen an
vaguely remember that.
actual like animated Scooby Doo in a long time.
Oh,
True.
there's so many.
Yeah. The only thing I know is the Shaggy Ball Z memes.
Oh yeah. So
Super Saiyan Shaggy.
So I've actually never watched Zombie Island. I accidentally watched the sequel to it that they made called Return to Zombie Island, and the whole movie retcons the movie that it didn't happen.
Oh,
I
jeez.
think I remember that, to be honest.
That are like,
That
oh,
was
it's
a big
swamp
movie.
gas, horrible.
Oh, so it is fake.
Oh,
It took two movies to tell you, hey, guess what? It is fake.
yeah, to the whole franchise
They
where
probably-
everything's fake.
Right, they probably got nasty letters from parents being like, my kid's now scared because of you.
Yeah, they probably need it. Really enough with like the scary Scooby Doo thing, they made a comic book series in like I think it was like 2017, where it's like, what if the world is infected with like nanotechnology? So all the monsters are like nanotechnology, like they're mutated, but they didn't put in any of the original monsters from Scooby Doo. That would have been the perfect moment for that to happen. It's like or weird homages, but it's like weird, like Scooby or Shaggy has like a Van Dyke beard and like tattoos, and like it's all these weird, like Velma's a midget for some reason. Like it's all these weird choices, but it's like none of the weird choices like in the live action movies where it's like, let's get Mr. Bean, he's the villain, secretly, kind of, not really, but going back
Sounds like a
to
bad nightmare.
Oh, those movies aren't great. But going back to monsters and movies, the monsters that are great, Frankenstein or Frankenstein, however you want to flip and say it, because everyone's got their own way they want to say it. But like, I don't know, I like Frankenstein, but I don't think I've ever watched anything where I enjoyed it because he's always the background monster. He's never like the focus.
Mm.
You just like his cereal.
Sure. Does he have a cereal? Or no,
He
it's
does have a cereal.
Frankenberry.
Frankenstein has a cereal.
Frankenberry, yeah.
That's Frankenberry. They added a new one this year.
Oh,
Let's
really?
see.
Caramella Creeper. Or Caramella Creeper, whatever her heck her name is. She's like a mummy. But not the yummy mummy. Like, it's not his daughter or something. It's like a totally new thing. It's weird. Like, you look into like those. There's like lore. Fruit Brute.
Okay.
But like, yeah, I like Frankenstein, but I like it whenever they homage Frankenstein and stuff. Like Ben 10 famously had one where legit there's a whole planet of just the monster like the Universal monster characters. Like they're just an alien race, all of them. And it's like weird but cool, but like they hate humans. Like to them, humans and everyone else are the monsters, and they're
there's the example.
yes. I kind of don't like that
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
because like it's modern.
It's sugar.
Well, it's like, she's got headphones, so she's like the tech savvy monster.
It doesn't fit all of the other ones.
No, it doesn't.
That is weird.
It's odd. I don't understand it.
It leaves canon. We want to accept it. No.
That's a lot of stuff now. Where it's like, hey, let's make this new thing, but it's an addition to an older thing, and it doesn't fit.
Right.
Because let's modernize this trope. Like let's modernize, like monsters, but like let's make it weird.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to be fair, it does look like it's somebody's kid, so maybe they're going for the next generation kind of thing. 30 years too late.
Sure.
Yeah. Like Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School.
Yeah. I've never
one I
watched
liked a
that,
lot.
but I've heard of like that weird strata of it.
It was definitely weird, but it was one that was the other one that I enjoyed. I don't remember the Wacky Racers one. Werewolf Shaggy. What's that one called?
Apparently, Wacky Races is still going or was going.
Is
Like,
that
they made
Boomerang show that you're
where they made
bringing up?
Boomerang an app.
That's what it is.
Yeah, it's just like 20 minutes of this narrator saying random stuff, and they're just all being crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good sleep material. Put
Well,
that
it's a
on
good
in
thing
the
to put
middle of
on
the
your
night.
app for your kids, you know.
Yeah.
Speaking of kids shows, there's that Beetlejuice show they made, which I guess is not really a horror. I guess it's a horror film.
Are you talking about
Watch
the
movie.
old cartoon, or did they remake it?
They made. I'm sure there's going to be a new cartoon when the Beetlejuice 2 comes out, but
Yeah.
yeah, the old cartoon, which
Oh, I
the
love
design
that
isn't
cartoon.
the design quite isn't Michael Keaton. I'm sure they
Not
did that.
quite, no.
I'm
I
sure
mean,
they did that for copyright reasons. I
Well,
guess.
yeah. It was, I don't know, it was fun. I used to watch it. I don't remember a whole lot about it, but other than the skeleton that kept running around
The
singing.
theme song's great.
Alouette, jolly alouette. So. But it was fun. I don't know.
Oh,
I
yeah.
liked it.
Which going into like cartoons like Ghostbusters, like the show got sued in the first season
Really?
because Venkman's character looked too much like Bill Murray and sounded like him, so they had to change his animation slightly and get a different voice actor. Because it was Homer from The Simpsons doing the voice, and then they got someone totally different. Odd,
Yeah.
like
I
a
just
RoboCop show.
I just thought of my favorite monster,
What you got?
Alf.
Alf.
So he's from space. He eats cats.
He
He's
is from
cool in my
space.
book.
He's an alien, so yeah, why not? You know. I mean, that's what ALF is an acronym, isn't it? Just alien life form.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. There's like
Hey Willie,
someone
do
will
I
get
smell
that.
bacon? No. Well, I'd like to.
I watched that, but that was a long time ago.
Oh man, that was a good show.
Yeah.
That's good.
It was a good show.
That's a good
It
thing
was
to fill
fun.
your time with.
I'm trying to think of because like
But yeah,
movie
Frankenstein gets underutilized, I think. Well, Frankenstein's monster. Let's
or
just
however
say
you want to
Yeah,
say
'cause
it,
technically there's no name for the monster.
or Frankenstein or
monster.
whatever.
Yeah, but it's the monster because
Frankenweenie.
Frankenstein was the
Yeah.
scientist.
Weirdly enough, he's getting a Transformers figure
What?
because Universal's doing like these collabs. They did Dracula a couple years ago, and then now they're
Wow.
doing Frankenstein. So,
Dracula got a transformer.
yep,
Do it.
he turns into a bat. It's a Target exclusive.
I want to suck your oil.
Of course.
And then Universal's like, hey, we can't do that because no one could find the figure because no Target would distribute it. So now it's like on the Hasbro app.
You have to specifically go to the app. You couldn't go to the website.
Our app website or Amazon. Like they made
I
it
was gonna
more
say.
widely available for people, I guess.
Wow. Dracula transformer.
Yeah. It's
That's,
weird. I don't have it and because I just never could find it.
it looks
sure it's
kind
available
of
somewhere.
sad. It's also $125.75 online on Walmart Plus. Congratulations.
I've seen it
It
cheaper
looks kind
than
of
that.
cool. Yeah, it looks kind of cool.
But yeah, it's like
The
weird
box.
like that. Oh, the
or-
box, yeah, it's just the hearse.
Is it a hearse? Because like.
Or is it a videotape? No, it's a videotape.
Oh yeah, it's a video tape. That's what it was like. So cool.
Oh yeah, it's a
looking about
VHS.
it.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Do anyone remember Drac Pack? It was a
No.
90s or 80s cartoon where it's like going with like new generation. It's like it's their kids, but they're in high school. I think it was on CBS. It was like that. I remember seeing an ad for it
Oh wow.
in like old comic books. I was like, obviously it wasn't on.
1980, guys. How old are you, Nathan? No, I'm kidding.
22.
He's an old show, man.
Well, secretly I am a vampire, you know. Just
Well, see, here I am being like, man, I got into Good Times recently. I don't know if I said that before, but you know, an old '70s show about a black family that is
Yeah.
growing up in the one of the projects of Chicago, and it's just absolute fire. It's great.
Also known as Family Matters. No, I was kidding. No, that came later.
I can never get into any of those. I just was never interested. But
Yeah, it's like my favorite episode so far is in the second season when the youngest kid is getting bullied, and he actually ends up inviting his bully to the house because of the bully's living situation and everything. And he thinks he can get away with something about like because the whole purpose was to spend the weekend to study with Michael, and the father James is going to have none of his shenanigans, and so he actually takes him out because he was being like, oh, I'm not going to study right now, and James is like, yes you will. And so totally whipping the belt out on him and everything. But it was really cool and something that you're not going to see nowadays because the kids' response to that was like, wow, so you really care about me, don't you? And it's like, yeah, absolutely. We care about your grades. We care about you being able to be taken care of and stuff. And it just changed his entire perspective. So he hasn't come back on the show yet or all. I don't know if he's a one-off or not, but it's like, yeah, that's definitely Hebrews chapter 10 or 9, somewhere in that area.
OG, like every Nickelodeon show where like the kids are just with their parents, and it's like odd.
Right.
There's like no resolution to it. Odd. But a horror. This isn't a movie horror character, I guess. I read a lot of comic books. The Hulk is a lot of times can get portrayed as like a horror character, depending on depends on who's writing. The recent run, or I'm sorry, the last run they did, they really delved into like the horror aspect of him. It was like
a comic book.
Yeah, it was like it was very interesting. The art was really good. Like he only came out at night. It was very much brought back to his roots because original comics he was gray and only came out at night. Until they're like, well, yeah.
The Hulk is kind of a play on Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, anyway.
Oh yeah, very much.
So,
and they play with that a lot. It's like, it's like, does Dr. Banner like having the Hulk around, or vice versa? Like it's always like they played with that, and the end of it, it became like kind of weirdly hopeful. In this whole book, it was like dark and drab, especially in the art. Like it paired it very well. I dropped off at a certain point where they got into like him going to hell, and I was like, I don't like this. This is weird. And then, like, it went back. Like, they brought in a Mr. Rogers character. Like, the first Hulk in Marvel Comics, like, the first monster character was called The Living Hulk. And they brought him back, and he was like a Mr. Rogers character. Like, he had a kid's show.
What?
Like they retconned it in, like, he had a kid's show. And if you look him up, his name's Zimnu. And he's just, like, this white, fluffy, like, abominable snowman type character. And he's like, but he started talking like he's Mr. Rogers. And it's like it's part of this whole story.
Agreeable snowman.
Yeah, but it's like but that book really played with like the monster elements of the Hulk, and like it brought back like a lot of Marvel's like monster characters that they were known for, like back in like the 70s. Like famously, Disney brought back the Werewolf by Night, which it's their werewolf character. Which the reason he's called that is they couldn't technically use werewolf. Because of comic book laws at the time. Like they're like you couldn't show a lot of blood, you couldn't show a lot of this different stuff to make it like kid appropriate. He was like, well, he's not
warehouses.
You could show warehouses, but they're like, he's not a werewolf. He's werewolf by night. Technically, he's different. It was odd. It was a weird time for comics. So it's like.
So wait, was he a werewolf every time it got dark versus being a werewolf once on a full moon?
Yes.
When it got dark,
or something like that. I don't recall. But
so it's a hyper werewolf.
Something like that.
With
he had weirdly enough, he had the Disney Plus special, which they're putting out in color this year.
Oh, fun color.
So. I'm trying to think other monster characters, like obviously Godzilla.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess Alien would be a thing, wouldn't it?
Alien, yeah.
Yeah. They almost made it's a scary movie, so.
Oh, they almost made a kids show for Aliens.
I wouldn't be surprised about that.
And then they didn't.
I know. What are we gonna do? We're gonna have a laugh track every time the alien's third mouth comes out. Like
he slips on a banana peel. Just. It's a comedy series, they're on the spaceship and he just pops out and it's a whole comedy series, I feel like some internet show probably did that.
I don't know. I don't fully understand the whole taking a scary movie. Because like I mentioned this and we were talking about earlier, the Jurassic Park.
Yes.
Which, I mean, if you watch the first one,
Oh,
it's a
yes.
scary movie.
Oh yeah.
Like, there's scary moments in there. It'll freak kids out.
Oh,
but
like dismembered arm just hanging there. It's like,
yeah.
for some
It's
reason.
acid in the face, and the guy's face starts melting, right?
Yeah.
And yet there's people, the
wasn't that
kids watched
brutal?
it, and they enjoyed it, and then they started marketing all of this stuff and getting all the toys and everything,
Mhm.
and started making it more accessible to kids. And
It's just dinosaurs.
I don't
though.
know about that.
That's the bad thing. It's dinosaurs.
Well, yeah, it's dinosaurs, of course. That's
true.
what drew a lot of the kids in.
Right,
But-
exactly. And it's just it's frustrating because it's like
And then-
Poppy Playtime. If you guys
Well,
know
then
about
it
that.
really showed
Yeah.
in the sequels where they got lighter and lighter and not as good. Did you
That's
guys?
the whole
Yeah.
Jurassic World, so, you know.
Yeah,
I never watched the Jurassic World films.
I only saw the first one.
I wasn't interested. Like, I'm like, oh, okay, they're. It was like that weird time, like, hey, let's make sequels, bring back the original cast, which they never did till like the third one. I think it was.
Well,
the
let's
third
make
one.
the raptors friendly, make them tame so they're more friendly, so we can
Oh,
have
sure.
more raptors on there.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
that was the
Did-
big thing about
Oh,
Jurassic World.
did you see the proposed Jurassic Park 4 script
No.
where they're gonna do Dino Soldiers?
Oh, jeez.
Oh,
Like they were
yeah.
gonna like
The government
human
hired to
hybrids. Which I mean, they
Oh,
later,
boy.
which they
Wait,
later
are
did.
they bringing out the space season of Ninja Turtles with the space dinosaurs? Is that what we're talking about?
The Triceratons, space dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Oh, Triceratons. It was legit. They looked more like the lizard from like the Amazing Spider-Man movie.
Oh wow, his vision's coming true. He didn't even need to be there.
It got weird. Like I'm like that's clearly like movie studios being like, but what if it's this? But what if we have like RoboCop as a cartoon show? Like,
Yeah, because RoboCop was not kid-friendly.
no.
Not at all.
Neither is Toxic Avenger, which they made into a cartoon show. For some reason. I don't
I got
understand
one.
that.
I got one that I would go is more sci-fi than scary, I guess. But one show I used to love to watch when I was a kid that they made off of a movie was the Starship Troopers Chronicles.
Yeah.
Yes.
They made that. They had that as a sci-fi movie, but then they made a show, an animated show about it, and I used to love watching that show when I was growing up.
Oh, Benny.
And they had all the different monsters and stuff in it. As far as kids shows, I think of like All Real Monsters.
Oh,
Yes,
that was
Nickelodeon.
fun. That was a good
Yeah,
one.
yeah, All Real Monsters is a good one. And then of course you have like Courage the Cowardly Dog. That had like a bunch
Yeah.
of different like little monsters and phantoms and stuff in it.
That one hit the border a lot as far as... Because that one got creepy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Courage.
Did
man.
you?
It was... Wow.
Yeah, did you watch the Scooby Doo crossover they did?
I did not know.
I'm not sure if
recently?
I did or not. I don't remember.
They explained where all the weird stuff comes from.
Oh, really?
Like it's apparently like a meteor hit the Earth and it's just like in the ground. It's like the radiation just attracts everything weird. I don't know why you had to do that. You could have just gone like
doing that.
you could have just gone, oh no, it's just this place just attracts weird stuff. You could have gone that route, but you know, like Gravity Falls did that better, where it's like, oh yeah, no, it's Oregon, it's all weird, you know.
It's just Oregon.
Yeah.
I've only got halfway through the first season on that one so far, so...
Well, I won't spoil anything for you.
Yeah. I just know there's this triangle guy that comes up eventually and starts messing with all kinds of stuff. So.
Yeah, and like legit, ever since that show ended, everyone's like, "Oh, he's gonna come back in this show because the guy works on other shows and does voices on those shows." So then they're like, "Well, then this character's gonna show up." Blah blah blah. Whatever. It's like,
Well, I heard a little bit about his lore, and he goes to different realities, doesn't he?
something like that. I think
So he could technically, they could do that, but I don't know.
they could, but I don't think I can't remember the guy that wrote it. I'm sure he's done. I'm sure he's like, well, I finished it, and he's like, well, I'm working on other projects. It's like people always clamor like, well, let's bring this back. I'm like, well, if the guy's done, he's done. Like, and then it's like hollow when it comes back. But speaking of Hollow, Invisible Man.
That's a good monster. I haven't seen that movie that came out. Was it a couple years ago?
Oh, like the weird, yeah, that one. The only reason I knew of Invisible Man was like the Laurel and Hardy meets the Invisible Man, or no, not Laurel and Hardy, Abbott and Costello.
Abbott and Costello, yeah.
Yeah, meet Invisible Man.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, Abbott and Costello met like all of them at one point, didn't they? All the classics.
I think so. I think that, yeah.
And a lot of them were still Bela Lugosi, I think.
Were they really?
I think so. Well, Bela Lugosi did a lot of those. He was Dracula, he was Frankenstein, he was a bunch of them. I think he did that again for the Abbott and Costello.
Well, I'm sure he did. I'm sure, oh, we got you on the payroll. You're on the lot doing something else here.
So going off of that, have you seen, what are your thoughts on League of Extraordinary Gentlemen?
I like it in concept. The movie's a little weird. I haven't read any of the comics. There's interesting stuff he the obvious tropes of Invisible Man. He was like, oh, I got to put the makeup on, all that that stuff, and they do Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, which they kind of tame him down if you know the original source material for Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, but it's interesting. Sean Connery's character is weird, at least for the movie. Is he immortal? I can't remember. Is he?
No, he was just a really good hunter.
That's right. He's just a really good hunter. And
it was
vampires.
His name Gray. Gray was kind of immortal.
Yeah.
I forget his first name, but because of the painting, he kept himself young.
That's right. Yeah. Why would you have a thing that could kill you just front and center?
Well, he kept it hidden though.
Yeah, well,
that was kind of the original premise.
Yeah, well, why would you lord it and be like, hey, this thing can kill? Why would you tell anyone?
Yeah.
It's odd. It's weird.
I don't know. Yeah, it was one of those interesting concepts. Take all those classic book characters.
Oh, that's Alan Moore.
Throw them together and make a Justice League out of them.
Oh, yeah. And set in, early 1900s.
Mm-hmm.
I remember hearing the book got weird and some people didn't like how certain parts of it are. And I guess the movie tried just merging a lot of the stuff together. But that's also Alan Moore. But seems like he does not like any of his adaptations. Any of his movies, V for Vendetta, Watchmen, any of his stuff, he hates all the adaptations. He asked for his name to get taken off all of them. So
I don't know. Of course, when I watched League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, I think I was a teenager, and I like the concept of it, and I like
early
Sean
2000s.
Connery, so I enjoyed the movie. It was,
oh yeah,
if you just take it as just a fun romp, fun action movie, it was a lot of fun.
I think that's the problem people have. They expect high art out of it. It's just have fun,
right? Yeah, just let yourself have fun. I know I watched V for Vendetta. I don't remember a bunch of it. I watched The Watchmen. It was okay. I think it was just a little too serious, but I don't know.
Yeah. Apparently the show's good, which I like the idea of Watchmen. I don't like it if they keep expanding it, especially if Alan Moore is not doing it. But though he does, someone made a what if Watchmen was a Saturday morning cartoon. They made an intro for it. He loves that. That really enough. I don't know why, but I'm trying to think. Was there any other weird shows?
Now, Silly, you brought up Poppy Playtime.
Playtime.
And if you're going to bring that up, you might as well go to the original, which is Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of started off that whole thing, right?
It started
the whole
this weird trend.
Whimsical meets horror, and your children are going to find it interesting and nightmare fuel.
Yes.
Well, yeah, because it's a scary game. And actually, it was the guy who created Five Nights at Freddy's was a Christian, and he had some games. I don't know if you guys know this story, but he had a couple games before that. And people were saying that the character models he made for those games looked like, just animatronics from Chuck E. Cheese that were kind of creepy and cringy. And then he just took that idea and rolled with it and created Five Nights at Freddy's. Like, oh, you think these are scary animatronics? Let me show you some scary animatronics. And then it just exploded from there. But it's one of those things where it's shortly after that game became huge, and when I think he released 3 games in a year. And then you had, of course, these really cool, creative-looking characters that all the kids started latching onto, and then you had these, like, the nightmare versions of these characters, and these, like, little kids are wearing these, like, super scary, costumes and whatnot from that, and it's just, like, I don't know, I had to shake my head at it. What was that?
It's like the legacy of it all. And then if you're, a proponent of game theory, then you know how meta kids wearing the animatronic skins are.
Right. Oh, yeah, for sure. I've watched every game theory on, Matt Pat has done on Five Nights. So even the first one, which was really interesting to find out. But yeah,
that movie does not look good.
I haven't seen. I'm still gonna watch it. I'm just gonna be honest with you.
I have zero interest, but like,
I don't know. It's one of those where it's like, it's a video game that I've followed. I haven't played any of them, but I've seen lots of Let's Plays and I watch all the game theory. So it's one of those things where I follow it. So I kind of feel a little obligated to watch it just to see what they do with it.
Yeah.
But I don't even think I've seen the second trailer yet. I might have seen the second trailer.
Everyone talks about Matthew Lillard being in it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. I've had like, whatever Five Nights at Freddy came out, I was like, whatever. It's wasn't a thing. I was like, weird animatronics. Oh, well, okay.
Yeah.
But
that was also the time that I was still watching Markiplier, and I haven't watched him in a long time. But that was, of course, at the time he was also getting really big playing games like that, and then at the same time, Five Nights got really big as well and just exploded. So that's another thing, is kind of like, as far as me watching Let's Plays and being on that kind of scene and being part of that, that's
right. I think
where
people,
I got started with a lot of
I think people like Five Nights because of like the spoofs.
Oh yeah.
Because like you get into like that Nicolas Cage movie that he did, but it's like Five Nights at Freddy, but not. Like it's called Willy's Wonderland. He gets trapped in this amusement arcade. Like they ask, like he gets stuck in town. They're like, well, in order to pay for your car part, or whatever that you don't have the money for, you can clean this place. Like it sounds very shady. He's like, okay. He doesn't talk during the whole movie. And like the animatronics are alive, and like so as he's cleaning in the background, you see him like starting to move, like wake up, and it's like this weird thing. Or we talked about this before, the Banana Splits Five Nights at Freddy movie, which was proven to be an original script that they found, and they just threw in other like the Banana Splits characters, which is odd. Which then goes into like the monsters but modern. Like, what is that girls show? There's a young girls show where it's like monster characters.
Monster High or something like that.
Something like that.
Monster High. I think that's it.
I just see it whenever I'm in Walmart. And like, I don't care. Like, it's on the way to get to like the stuff I want to look at. Like, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure someone enjoys this.
Well, obviously, if they didn't, they wouldn't be on the shelf.
Right. But, speaking of Godzilla, apparently there's a new show coming on Apple TV, which still has me zero interest to get Apple TV.
Right.
But it's going to have Kurt Russell and his son. And, like, essentially they're playing, essentially they're the same person. Like, it's them at different points in their lives, like facing Godzilla or like hunting for Godzilla or whatever.
Interesting.
Which in concept sounds interesting. If I saw it on DVD, I might like check it out. But I have zero interest to get Apple TV, or Apple Plus, whatever it's called.
Yeah, it's Apple TV Plus, I think is what it might be. I don't know. I feel like I keep seeing TV Plus, but I don't know.
A lot of pluses out there.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah, every stream service had to do
Disney Plus.
Brings a whole new meaning to Alphabet Mafia.
Oh yeah.
What did you think? Do you remember the original American Godzilla that came out?
Oh, the '90s one.
The one
I remember if it was late '90s, early
late
2000s.
'90s. It was like 90. It was like '93.
Oh, it was early '90s.
Yeah, it was like in concept.
Is
like
that the one with Matthew Broderick, or is that a later one? Because
Yes,
that's the one I know of.
that's the one.
Okay.
It's in concept. Like I like a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. In concept, I like it because like the technical aspect, like they made a full animatronic Godzilla for part of the movie, but like you easily could have just called it a different movie because it's
Yeah.
very much not Godzilla. Like
It's not the Godzilla that everyone is familiar
Oh,
with,
yeah.
and that's what.
why people don't like it.
Yeah.
Though they made an animated show in the early 2000s and it builds upon it and makes it better.
Oh yeah.
It's so the concept of the show, they make him more like Godzilla. Like it follows the end of the first movie where like the baby pops out of the egg, and like it follows like essentially like he follows this one scientist and prints on it. So they use him as like a research tool to like explore like the depths of the ocean because like he'll like live down there. Because in this they establish he's more aquatic, like he's more like an iguana. So like he'll like reside like at a cave, like in this trench off the coast of New York or whatever. And like they brought it like at some point in the show they fight Martians. Like the Martians come to Earth and like kidnap all the monsters. Like they infiltrate the government. The government puts all these monsters on this island, in like the sake of research, but it's really to like weaponize them. It was a weird show. It was like so early 2000s where every show had to like have an environmental message.
I feel like there was a movie like that.
Captain Planet.
Oh, it was very much like Captain Planet. Like they fight a.
Well, that's kind of what Godzilla was anyway.
Oh yeah, they fight an environmental like terrorist group. At one point, and of course they have like a tacky acronym.
Well, you have to. It's the 90s.
Oh, yeah. I'm really surprised they have not brought back like Captain Planet as like a bumper to something.
I feel like Captain Planet's coming back. I've seen a lot more references to Captain Planet lately.
Well, then also people reference like the Don Cheadle skits with Captain Planet.
Yeah, but it was 98. Was that Godzilla?
Oh, was it 98? Why did I think it was
90? Late 90s. That's what I thought. So, I'm one of those weird ones. I liked that movie, but I think part of the one thing I don't like about that movie, and I say this with other trends, and I could say this about movies like Cloverfield, is there's too much focus on the human characters and not on the monster.
Yes. Oh, like the 2014
I want to see more monster. I could care less about these humans.
Hear that? Strange wants to see a monster romance.
I mean...
Well, I mean, that was the next American Godzilla movie, which I thought was actually pretty good too. But
which weirdly enough had Mary Elizabeth.
The bad monsters were a male and a female trying to hook up.
Oh yes, and weirdly enough, it had not Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Elizabeth Olsen, and it had Aaron Taylor Johnson. The year before they were in Avengers together. It was weird, and like they're a couple in that movie. And then you go right into Avengers where like they're twins. Like it's odd.
Okay. Yeah.
West Virginia.
Sorry, I think it was just a weird casting choice.
Right, it's supposed to be Alabama. Anyway.
I think they were just doing a weird casting choice. It just happened to line up that way.
Right.
But
yeah.
I think I don't know if I think I equally like the Godzilla movies, both of them. The King of Monsters and the regular one. I don't know. Once they introduced Millie Bobby Brown's character, I don't know. Because like they were going for something like there was more monsters, but also like a weird focus on the human characters. But
yeah, I haven't seen that latest one.
Well, because there's King of Monsters and then there's Kong versus Godzilla.
I thought it was Godzilla.
Or Godzilla versus Kong or whatever.
Whichever, yeah. I can't remember if I watched that one or not. I might have because usually if it's whichever one is named first is going to be the winner.
Oh, sure.
Usually, and so I think if it was Godzilla versus Kong, I probably watched it because I like seeing Kong get beat up. But
anyway. Oh yeah, it's like weirdly enough. So DC was like, you know what? Let's do it's Godzilla and Kong versus the Justice League.
think I've heard of that.
I don't know
yeah.
how that's gonna work, but like Batman's gonna just pull out this big bat mech or something like that. Or like the Fortress of Solitude is gonna transform into a giant Gundam thing.
Satellite lasers. That's what it was.
Yeah, the watchtower just comes down and just transforms or something like that. Just I don't know. I don't remember if it's out. I think it comes out like in a couple weeks, I think. The first issue. I keep saying solicitations for it, but it's strange. But that original King Kong movie is really good. The Peter Jackson one I really like.
With Jack Black?
Yes.
It was okay.
I liked that one, but it does have the weird human focus. I think I like Kong Skull Island better. But
no,
that one's good because like they like show like Kong's like smart and intelligent and like at one point uses like a chain is like whipping it around. I was expecting to start like being Scorpion at some point. He doesn't.
Get over here.
There was like a horror scene in that like there's these like spider creatures and they look like trees. Like their legs look like tree trunks and like they're like we haven't heard from Sergeant such and such and like he's like his like their arms like through the guy's body like it pierces him, like picks him up. Like there's weird stuff like that. Which I like in the movie, like it wasn't grotesque like in some horror movies where it's like grotesque, like let's do shock horror. Like it like and it wasn't played for laughs either. Like there's a lot of good I really like that movie. But I'm trying to think. Just weird
So
adaptations.
when it comes to scary movies, do you watch many scary movies? And if you do, like what kinds of scary movies do you watch? Because there's a lot of different kinds.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of a lot of them. Like I said, I don't like a lot of like the shock horror. And like I like it as like a supplement, I guess, where it's like it gives stakes, but also like it's like in suspense, but it's not like in your face like the Michael Myers movies, like where that's just the whole movie. Like I like The Thing because like it's just survival movie and like the stakes are you don't know what the thing is, like what it's turned into, other than and like but not like in the case of like where it's like oh this is weird watching. Like every scene is just someone getting ripped in half.
I would prefer the supernatural ghost exorcist type movies, mainly because there's a comfort in knowing that there's a specific function that these, supernatural beings have, so you can expect what they're gonna do.
Right, and not at the end where it's like it's old man McGunket. Like it's just he's just got like a cape and cowl. The recent Scooby Doo show did that really well, where it's like it did this weird mix of like regular characters who just for some reason had like a military grade budget because like they were like we're scientists, we work for this government thing, or some of them they fight the ghost of like this friar that like founded the town in one episode, and it led to like this larger story where like the villain's like a parrot.
Oh,
because like they established there are other talking animals like Scooby.
that
he's
to
like
be honest, when you said friar, you know what I was thinking.
Oh, like a cook.
No,
like,
no, literally a friar.
Oh. But like
talking about Scooby Doo, of course he'd go out with the friar and use it as a weapon.
Yeah, like they reveal like Scooby Doo is like a descendant of aliens, and that's why he can talk. They bring they bring like the Egyptians.
Oh,
like it got really weird towards the end, but also it's like, I mean, at least he did something, like went somewhere, like
Yeah, I have a meme about that, which is kind of funny.
Because I don't think it's ever explained anymore why he talks. It was just like that trend was like, oh, yeah, have a goofy sidekick, and he could talk for some reason.
But he had a lot of extended family that could also talk.
Scrappy
too.
is one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, Scrappy was the main one, but there were others that they came across too.
Well, we don't talk about
cousins
Scrappy.
And sisters, stuff like that.
Yeah,
aunts,
uncle and other stuff
that could all talk. So
I don't know. Well, that show also like acknowledged their parents, like in a weird way, because sometimes like oh, Daphne's got parents, we never see them. Or Velma has parents, we'll see her sister. Like Freddy's parents, it was inconsistent. Like Shaggy's rich, but so is so is Daphne's family. Like they're the rich ones in the group.
Mm-hmm.
I can see Daphne.
Oh yeah, well that's always been part of her character. And then like
Shaggy,
Velma,
that's Big Hero 6 material right there.
Right. Well, Velma's parents.
yeah.
So Velma's parents are essentially just what's the guy from Ghostbusters? His character, not Egon. Crap, I can't. And not Winston, the other one. I can't think of his name. And not Venkman.
Well, we'll take the L for the worst podcast ever without the research.
I can't think of his name, but essentially the guy's got the bookshop. I cannot think of his name off the top of my head. But they're essentially that character, like both her parents. And then Freddy's dad's the mayor, so it's like.
Oh, that makes sense, I guess.
But, and like, of course, that I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Nick. No, go
But
ahead.
of course, that show really got into like horror jokes. Like they fight like they fight a female Terminator type character, which I guess you can call. I don't know if I would call Terminator like a horror movie.
I wouldn't say it's a horror movie, but it did get pretty graphic.
Oh yeah. I'd count.
It was like a graphic action movie.
Yeah, I'd count like the Predator as like a horror movie.
Yeah, Predator was horror.
Oh yeah. Dude, that new one sucks. I'm sorry, not Prey. The one before that, the Predators or whatever.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, they're like, well, the Predator has like a special weapon that he gives to humans where they could fight against the Predators. Because the Predator race apparently are like an invasive race, apparently. Which they were never that.
Right.
But.
To answer your question, Strange, about whether, we watch scary movies or what we like, whatever. Myself, I don't watch a ton of them. Like the really dark corner side of myself kind of wants to go see the new Saw, but probably not going to.
Yeah, hard pass.
Yeah, I kind of do, but probably not going to. Have you ever heard of Frank Peretti before, by any chance?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Have you ever watched The Visitation before?
No.
Okay, he actually put out one of his books, The Visitation. That was a good movie, in my opinion, because it had a spiritual element to it. It's kind of like, I wouldn't call it necessarily Christian horror, so to speak. I don't know if there's such a genre. If you want to say Christian horror, you can watch Passion. But
there is a Christian horror movie that came out just recently. I had a showing for it. I can't remember what it's called.
But check out, if y'all ever want to watch kind of a supernatural thriller, to me, The Visitation is a good one. In that kind of vein.
That bugs me.
So it's kind of like a guy kind of shows up, starts performing miracles, and what is he about? That kind of thing. It's very interesting to me. But
I like Frank Peretti. Ted Decker, who
I like Ted
is kind
Decker
of similar. He does a lot of stuff too. I would say Frank Peretti, he does a lot of good spiritual books. He does some horror books, and sometimes they've had a couple books where they've teamed up too. And I've read a couple of those books.
Yeah.
And I would say they can get into the horror. I know there was a movie made. It was probably in the 90s, maybe early 2000s, that was based off of, I think, Frank Peretti. I don't think it was Ted Decker. I think it was Peretti. And it was like a haunting at a high school or something that ended up turning out to be something else, but I had that on DVD.
Was that the adventure series he had? I think I know what you're talking about.
I don't think it was a standalone.
I think I know what you're talking. It was like a part of like, it was essentially like they were kind of like mystery solver kind of. I think I know what you're talking about.
No, I think we were talking about different things.
Maybe that was a different thing he did. He probably did
yeah.
Because he had the it was like called the Hangman's Curse or whatever. It was something like that. It was like
that's what it was. Hangman's Curse.
Okay,
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what it was, and that was, I don't know. I thought it was neat. So yeah, when it comes to like scary movies and stuff like that, I'm not a huge person on it. I've enjoyed my share. Like I said, I like the big monster stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I like Silly. I like the supernatural stuff. I remember Paranormal Activity. I really liked that one. I never saw the sequel, I don't think. But when you get into stuff that's like real, like one movie, I never saw it all the way through. I saw like the last part of it was one of Shyamalan's. What was it called? It had Bruce Willis. He was the hero. Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh, wasn't that
Unbreakable?
Unbreakable and the
Unbreakable.
Split.
Split.
It's the like the second one in like the trilogy.
I don't know. I didn't know there was a trilogy, but the first one, Unbreakable.
Yeah.
The scene that I saw where he gets the power where he can like touch people and then like kind of see what their lives are like. And there was a guy that essentially invaded a family's home, killed the dad, trapped the mom and the daughters, and did stuff to them, right? Kept them prisoner. When you get into real stuff like that, that's like too real for me, and I don't like watching that stuff. That's why I like the big monster, never going to happen kind of stuff. But I do like psychological thrillers as well. So like when you get a little suspense, like the first Alien, there was a lot of suspense and psychological stuff going on there too. So that's the kind of stuff that I like. But like the super gory, I saw the first Saw movie. I might have seen the second one, but that's not kind of my thing.
I did YouTube highlights on those.
No.
So I don't watch the movie. I watch videos about the movie.
Yeah.
That movie is called Nefarious, by the way.
Oh yeah,
What was that,
Nefarious. I've been wanting to see that one.
I think.
Yeah.
I think with some of that, like, you gotta be careful because like you start inviting certain stuff and like those certain horror movies, like, which depends on how you look at it. Some people are like, I go watch this all the time, and some people are like, I don't, for like various reasons. So it's like, however you feel about your conviction, however you deal with it. So it's like, yeah.
One other one, by the way, that Frank Peretti has put out or has been the writer for is House. That's also
that was a good one too.
What was that one with Sasquatches? Was that just Monster?
I think it's just Monster. Yeah.
I'm really
I like that one
surprised
too.
someone hasn't worked with him of like adapting some of those into like
Monster
movies.
would be a good one.
Oh yeah.
I personally would like to see the Circle trilogy by Ted Decker.
Yes, that was good. That was good too. That was Decker though. That was Ted Decker.
Yeah, that was Decker. I wasn't a big fan of the ending.
What did you get? Because there's 4 of them.
Yeah, there's like 4 of them. Or no, I thought there was 5.
Because there's like the main 3. They did like a prequel, and they made it just. They literally.
Oh, that's
made it, like,
right. Because it's the circle, and then it's the colors,
like
and then there's like another one.
Yeah.
The circle one, or not circle, the colors one, I really like how it loops. Like it goes full circle. I like that. I wasn't a big fan of the circle series where it, I guess, kind of ended. Where like at some point they get rid of one of the characters. Like he had like this whole arc, and then like they kind of got rid of him at one point. I can't remember the character's name.
The Circle series is those colors. It's called the Circle series, but the books are red, black, green, white. I don't have the right order. I'm sure.
Maybe I haven't mixed up.
Those are the 4 books.
You
might.
It's because there's those, and then it's the one that like happens in between or after.
Trying to think.
I'm not.
Where it's like the younger group, and he shows up at some, like the main character shows up at some point from the other books.
Oh, I think I've heard of that, but I haven't read it. Yeah,
I liked part of it, and then towards the ending, like when they got back, like they ended up on Earth at one point, like our Earth, and then when they got back, like of course there was like a time jump because like how time moves differently. Like the one character, like he had like he essentially was tempted by the devil and had like interesting character progression, and then like at one point, like he didn't go with them to Earth, like he like the whole thing they were going, and then like he became part of like the Horde. And it wasn't like he had like it was like part of his redemption, or like it, I feel like they kind of like ruined his character. But it has been all since I've read it, so maybe I need to go back and reread it. But
it's been a while for me too.
I could really see Tom Cruise doing those because I have the regular books, and then they made a comic book adaptation,
right,
of the color ones, and they draw him kind of like Tom Cruise. Weirdly enough, it was like during his like Mission Impossible 2 phase, so like he had like the long hair.
Well, Aladdin was drawn to resemble Tom Cruise too, so
touche. But Disney did a horror movie, and like that didn't do well. the black. Well, I really wouldn't call it horror. They
What, the
tried.
Black Cauldron?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was during their like dark times.
Oh yeah.
And it didn't come out too well. But that was also the same time like Don Bluth was doing stuff like The Secret of Nim.
Oh yeah.
And there was some dark stuff in those movies too.
Oh
but
yes.
those became like cult classics. Of course,
Oh, yes.
Black Cauldron is too, I guess. But
Ripped
Yeah.
John Hurt. So I only know him from Doctor Who. So, which when we talk about horror with Doctor Who, like legit, there's an episode where they're on a train and there's like a mummy. It's like the mummy of like a soldier. It's like they get into horror too, and like I like it there because it's like it goes into like the more of like the thriller, but like kind of dark, but like not like overly dark. Like it has a
Right.
purpose being there. Like getting like there's a whole episode where like there's an entity and you don't see it, and he's like repeating whatever the entity's saying. Like it really gets into that, but
yeah, it's such an interesting series because you have those like horror episodes, then you have more lighthearted
Oh,
episodes,
yeah.
then you have the like deep thinking, like ethical episodes.
oh yes,
It's an interesting series.
I dropped
But
off.
but they had a bunch of different writers.
Oh yeah,
'Cause I think Moffat did more of the horror stuff.
yes, I dropped off after like middle of 12. Not like I wasn't interested. It's just like Netflix like stopped putting new episodes up after a while, and then of course they got to 13, and then like
Yeah, I got through the first season of The Female Doctor, and then I
That was
think I haven't
13.
seen any since
Yeah.
then. No, yeah.
apparently it's coming.
Eccleston's still my favorite. But
Yeah, apparently it's coming to Disney Plus, so I'll have to catch up whenever it gets onto Disney
Oh,
Plus.
that'd be good.
So
There's another plus.
yeah.
That was the first plus.
Yes. Which, no, Google didn't have it. No, does Google have a plus?
It
They did
does,
have,
but I don't.
they did
That
have a
wasn't
Google
a streaming
something.
service, though, was it?
Yeah, it was like a social media thing, I think. for a
I think
while.
they did. Well, they're getting. I just saw an email, but they're getting rid of their podcast thing, their podcast app, but they're replacing it with YouTube Music. Which,
Yeah.
to be fair, Google, you have way too many apps and stuff. Maybe you should consolidate some of them. But
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
probably not YouTube Music because I hate getting ads for it, and every time they bug me, it's like, "Would you like to get YouTube Music?" No thanks, I'm good. But I'm trying to think if like there's any other horror properties that like had weird adaptations. Of course, the '90s was like full of them for some reason, like we were saying earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why, but
There was one that was a kid. It scared me to death when I was a kid, but now it's just hilarious, and that's Tremors. Do you remember that?
yes,
And so it scared me when I was a kid because it takes place in Nevada, which is where I'm at.
Ah,
I see.
Even though the town is completely fictional, but it took place in Nevada, so where they were shooting and everything, it looked just like where I live. So
aren't there like
Started
7 of
moving like
those?
Dune and the sand.
yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. The second one was good, and then it just went downhill from there. They had a TV series on the Sci-Fi Channel for
Didn't
a
they
while,
have
which
2
was
shows?
pretty good. They had they might have had 2, but there was one. It was the first few seasons wasn't too bad. I mean, for a Sci-Fi Channel show,
Right.
it was pretty good.
I mean, it's the same channel that does Sharknado, so
Yeah, but they had like Eureka and Warehouse 13. They had some good shows on Sci-Fi Channel.
they almost had that Titan show.
Oh yeah,
That Teen Titans show, and that's horrible. But
did y'all ever used to watch like Are You Afraid of the Dark or Tales of the Crypt
oh
Keeper or whatever it is?
yeah.
Goosebumps.
Yeah, Are You Afraid
no,
of the Dark?
I never watched
from
any of those.
Nickelodeon. Well, they're bringing Goosebumps back
Again,
again. Well, yeah.
What is this, the third time?
something like that. The first movie's not bad. With Jack Black, the second one's not that great.
Anything with Jack Black is okay.
The second one has Dr. Ken in it, so
I've never read or watched anything Goosebumps, so
me neither. Well, besides
That was
like
very
the one
classic when I was growing up, like in the library and stuff with the Scholastic, the Goosebumps
Oh, yeah.
series. I read a few of them, I think, when I was a kid.
We'll see how Goosebumps
but I liked
does.
Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Oh yeah.
So that was a good show. I think they brought that one back for like a season, didn't they?
I think
a few years ago.
wasn't
Sure.
that also on Nickelodeon?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the original one was for sure.
Right.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
talking
I think
about
they
the
brought it back
remake.
for like a season.
Yeah,
Yeah. Are you still afraid of the dark or something
or
like
something
that? I
like
don't
that.
remember.
Yeah, because we got to add something to the
I
title.
never watched that. Yeah.
Yeah, it came back out in 2019 to 22.
Ah,
Wow.
Yeah.
For
What it says.
3 years. Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
well, that's how Nickelodeon likes to do stuff. It lasts like 4 years, and then like something new.
It's the same with
They
Disney.
got to see how much money it's making them.
Well, someone explained it that worked for Disney. The reason they do that is because the kids age up and then they'll move on to something else. So that's when they'll start a new show.
Right.
That's why all
Right.
these shows that people like they only last for about 4 seasons, and then they move on to something else. So, and then of course your actors who are probably like 20 something or trying to play teens, visibly aged, and you move on to something else.
But this
So
is
it's
a
like,
great time to insert Phineas and Ferb making a comeback
Oh, yes.
for a 5th season. Oh man.
it's a remake, boot,
It
whatever. There's
might
gotta
be a reboot. I thought it was just going to contain. They at least what's his face? Dave.
Marsh.
At least Dave, the voice of Doofenshmirtz, acted like it was a continuation.
Yeah,
That they were continuing where they left off rather than just a
which is
straight up
fine
reboot.
as long as they're not just like, and it's in a different timeline, or we're starting from the beginning,
Right, right.
or we now have kids and we're gonna be miserable and we'll leave the show.
That would be strange.
I hate when shows do that. Just kill it at that point. It's like they brought Alf back, but like a different family.
Right. It's like, oh yeah, Alf's immortal.
Or he bothers. He's in the government facility and just hijinks around the office just with Alf. Shouldn't say that too loud. Whoever owns Alf, just it's like that's a great idea. We got the puppets still around here. Just, as the puppets
cool.
falling
Send him
apart.
to my house. I'll learn how to use them.
Well, you had to have 2 people to run Alf, didn't
Oh,
you?
yeah.
Because he had 2 hands and then the head. So
Yeah, it was something like that. He had to have a couple.
yeah.
As were most puppets then.
Needed the extra hands.
Anything that had full hand motion.
Oh yeah.
And not just like flailing arms like Kermit.
Or any Sesame Street character.
Yeah.
But
I think Fozzie was 2 people.
yeah.
I'm trying to think of who else had hands like that.
I think some like the background characters did.
Yeah.
That's what I don't think did.
Yeah.
I think too.
Because Swedish Chef had 2.
Yeah.
So he was flinging stuff around. And
Did
yeah,
Gonzo?
there was a few.
Gonzo? Did he have?
Yeah. Did he have two?
Gonzo didn't.
No? Okay.
No, he just had.
Oh, that's right. He had
one guy.
the flank. Yeah.
I want to say Bunsen. Bunsen and Beaker, maybe.
I think
they had
Beaker did.
full hands.
I think Bunsen. I think he just had. They had it on like sticks. Because I don't remember him actually grabbing something. I might be wrong.
No.
There's a little bit of Muppet trivia for you to look up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure someone's done some documentary, the Henson Company.
There's been a few.
Oh,
I'm
I'm
sure.
sure. Well, there's that
Speaking of
one about-
which, if he was still alive, apparently he would have been 87 this year.
Oh wow.
So a little random fact trivia there for you.
Speaking of Henson and horror, Dark Crystal is like
Yeah.
pseudo horror, pseudo fantasy.
It's just dark fantasy,
Oh, yeah.
I think, is what you could
Probably.
call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not really like I mean, anything's horror when you're like 5 years old. So
Oh,
Yeah.
that show they made on Netflix is like boring. Like the first 5 minutes is like the character walking through a forest, and it's all it is.
wow, sounds
It's
like
like-
the same problem Ring of Power has.
It's like it's like nothing. And like there's some interesting stuff like that, like stuff that's set up kind of in the first movie, where it's like the dichotomy of like the Skeksis and the other creatures like that. Essentially, they're like the same being. Spoilers for a movie from like 30 years ago. So it's like, it's interesting, but like I found it. I got through it and like I stopped the last episode. I'm like, this is too boring. I don't mind slow paced stuff, but like it was like too slow paced. I was like, oh, I'm done. So, and apparently everyone else was, because there's no second season. So
Yeah, sometimes some things don't belong in a TV show because they just got places to be.
Or they go too long, like Sharknado. Like,
right.
Thankfully, they finally ended it. Like after 8 movies, and they knew, because they're like, this is the final one. I think Dolph Lundgren is in one of those.
It wouldn't surprise me. That's one of those where it was made cheaply, but everybody, just the concept of it, the
was
whole
too
thing
absurd.
just watched it and latched onto it, and so they just kept going with it.
Honestly, that's the only thing that studio's made that's decent. Like, they're known for making all those mockbusters.
So, do you think like we wouldn't take Sharknado as seriously and criticize it as harshly if it was like random videos on YouTube?
Oh, I don't
for
think
like
we would.
the past 10 years.
Oh, I don't think we would. I think it's the same.
I think okay, this is me coming from someone who's never actually watched a Sharknado movie, but I think they understood what they were doing and what they were, and they just ran with it.
Right.
They weren't trying to take this ridiculous concept and be serious with it. They were just like, yep, this is ridiculous, and we're just going to go for it. And we acknowledge that and have fun with this. Yeah.
We'll fill the movie with washed-up actors, and I can't think of... And there's some weird stuff like where horror is like, let's have horror and like some stuff on it's like, it doesn't fit here. Like, all of a sudden, it's strange. One good horror thing I liked is, again, another comic book thing, is called, I hate Marvel Zombies. I think it's like the worst thing ever. And for some reason,
Marvel
it's getting...
Zombies are so good, though. Come on.
No, I hate Spider-Man crying that he ate his Aunt May. I hate that. It's stupid.
Oh, that? I didn't even know that. Well, okay.
Oh, that's in the comics, and it's by the guy that did Walking Dead. So, and it's like weird, drab, and bleak. The What If episode's pretty good, but like,
would you rather have Marvel Zombies or Spider-Man as a T-Rex?
Both are weird and absurd. So, but like my favorite like zombie thing is like DC did it, and they were clever. The title is Deceased. Like, and it went on, like, it wasn't one book, it's like 6 books now.
Oh wow.
And all are really good, and it's like, the plot is, it's like a techno-organic virus that sounds like the zombies. Like, there's the, if you watch just like Darkseid, he wants like the anti-life equation, he's like, well, I got it, well, I'll merge it with the Black Razor, who's like death in the DC universe, and it creates like this plague.
Mm-hmm.
And like they take Batman out, like he's the first one to go out, which because every story is like, well, Batman's got to solve the issue because he's Batman. Like he gets attacked because like it goes through the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Like it goes like there's like you can get bit or it goes through like the internet. It's like the techno organic, and like he puts on like he gets infected. He puts on like the Mr. Freeze suit that he just has to like slow down his metabolism, so like he can try finding a plane and it doesn't work. And, like Alfred has like shoot him with a shotgun and like bury him in the cave. Like it's
and all our readers at home went, "Oh, they're all gonna die."
Well, it's like it's weird because it's bleak, but then it's also like hopeful because like at the end like they go to like a new planet where it's like, well, it's not gonna be a problem until like 6 books later where it's like it keeps ratcheting up, where like everyone's getting infected and it's like, well, Batman's gone. Oh, Superman's gone. Okay, he's in the sun, just eating the sun.
Mm.
It keeps ratcheting up, but it's like really fun in like a weird way. I hate saying that because it's like, yeah, zombies are killing each other. Like it's not like some zombie movies where it's like bleak.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not I Am Legend where it's like the whole movie's bleak, or like The Walking Dead, which I think's gone way too long. But
I'd agree.
It's still
Well, they
going.
spun off of it now, so
Yeah, there's like 3 spin-offs.
Yeah.
I don't
the
know
new
why.
one being Daryl Dixon, I think. Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon.
Yeah, there's Daryl Dixon. I think Negan has a spin-off. And I think there's another
And
one.
they still doing Fear the Walking Dead, I think, too, is the other one.
Yeah, so there's like 3 of them. I don't care. The zombie thing isn't a thing anymore. Like it started and like it ended, but still, but like Walking Dead is like things like, oh, the zombie craze is still going. It's still going.
I've never been that much into zombies. I watched The Walking Dead up until Negan, and then I quit shortly after he got introduced.
Right.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
It's too much. They went too far with it.
Well, you see, you're in a bleak world, so everything has to be bleak.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like stuff like that. Like again, going to like horror stuff or like stuff like that, where it's like everything has to be bleak.
They show the worst in people, and like I said, that's where it gets to be like too real almost. Like people could really be like this if you put them in that situation.
Oh yeah,
and I don't know. I don't like dealing with that kind of.
Well, I think the bigger
Just dark
issue is
realism.
like, because it's a man-made product and that's somebody else's conceived notions, it tends to completely remove the God element. And so we're kind of left with this lackluster, shallow, non-reality that it's just. I mean, that's what it would be like if God didn't exist. So there you go. Kind of an ordeal. And that is discouraging and extremely depressing. Why would you subject yourself to that?
So, in theory, going off of that, would the Left Behind movies be considered horror? Hey,
I've only seen the
just
first
saying.
one. That was a long time ago. I don't remember how dark it got.
I don't think they ever did. They ever finish adapting everything? Because I think it got 1 or 2 movies in.
The old series that had Kirk Cameron in it did more within. I don't think they went all the way through it, but I think they did more than the ones with Nicolas Cage in it. Oh, that could be wrong. And then there's one that outside Left Behind is like, what is that called? Daggone it. There's a couple that really creep me out, which is like the one that has like the mark of the beast and stuff. I don't remember what it's called off the top of my head. I have to go back and look it up. But some of the end time stuff that kind of that bothers me a little bit.
I remember reading the original books, and like at one point it got like really weird, where like they introduced like whatever the villain's character's name is. It starts with a C. I can't think what it is off the top of my head. But his character, like his girlfriend and like stuff she went through, I'm like, oh, this is dark. Like this is odd. It's like, I don't know. Like at certain points it got like really bleak for no reason. I think I stopped at that point. I was like, well.
The other ones I'm thinking of, I think it's called the Omega Code. Those are the Omega Code and the Omega Code 2 is the ones I'm thinking of. Which was kind of a thriller film. Apocalyptic thriller. So
something like that. I think I remember hearing about those.
Yeah, the first one came back in 1999, so it's an older one.
Yeah, but it's also like those all came out during the same time where everyone was kind of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's do end of time. So it's like you see it all, and you're like, at some point, you're like, I'm not interested anymore.
Yeah, it's definitely overdone. Like everybody was doing that, and they were super cheesy. A lot of them.
Oh yeah,
some of them were very, very like whoa. But
and it keeps happening.
Got the point across, I guess. What'd you say?
Yeah, I was saying stuff like that. Like, there's always like a trend that gets overdone.
Mm-hmm.
Like for a while it was let's do horror. For a while it was let's do the end times. Now we're in the let's do a multiverse thing, which saps all the fun out. But I can't think of anything else, so I think that's a good spot to stop.
Yep, I think so.
Like most horror franchises should after like 3. instead of going on to like 7 movies, 10 movies.
Yeah,
The good
I'm
news is
shopping
God
on
is still on
Amazon
the
while I'm
throne.
doing this, so.
True.
You're shopping an episode while you're doing this, you said?
No, I'm shopping on Amazon while I'm
Oh,
doing the
shopping on
podcast.
Amazon. Well, that could be horrific too, depending upon what you're shopping for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you wake up
Random
the next
stuff.
morning, you see the emails of what you bought. You're just like, oh no.
Oh no. Well, I don't think we have to worry about that.
Yet.
Yeah.
Yet. But anyway, so if you guys enjoyed this episode, consider going back to check out last week's episode. SillyBoy wasn't there. We were talking with that Christian Geek. You can check the playlist out. I'll probably have a card or the links down below where you can find all of us. SillyBoy, where can they find you?
Y'all can find me on Twitch at SillyBoy1202, YouTube SillyBoy1202. You can find me on Instagram. I believe it's either SillyBoy1202 or it's Josiah Teal. You can find me on TikTok. That's definitely SillyBoy1202. Yeah.
Nice. You can find me on most social media platforms, mainly YouTube. Nathan's Fast Talk Food Reviews. It is almost October, so a lot of different like Halloween stuff is starting to drop. So I'll be taking a look at some of that. I'm gonna start, I guess, a 4-part series that's gonna come out. I have a lot of it written, telling work horror stories from the time when I worked at Subway. I thought that'd be apt to do. So I have a lot of stories, like the time someone tried burning down my store. So if you want to know more about that, check me out. Strange, where can I find you?
Okay. All right. Of course, I've got my Christian lyric channel, music lyric channel on Strange Lyrics on YouTube. Then I have my gaming channel, Strange Plays Games, also on YouTube. We started the Kingdom streamers on YouTube with myself, SillyBoy, Sketchbird, and Hufflesnitch. We have a few episodes of that as well as a few shorts. There's one more episode coming out tomorrow, and then we need to do another recording session before we can have any more. So hopefully we can get that together soon. And then we have, let's see, what else? I'm on TikTok under Wilbur Becker. That's my name. I should have a link on it on my YouTube page and my Twitch. And on Twitch, I'm Strange to Society. I am currently streaming and uploading to YouTube, to my gaming channel, a game called Death's Door, where you're a little crow who is also a soul reaper. So it's kind of fun. It's kind of cute. That one's going through that one right now. I think that's all the main stuff. I don't think I'm missing anything.
Nice. And Crad, they can't find
As
you
for
anymore,
me,
right?
They can find me in their nightmares. Since we're talking about horror. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes.
No, I do
And-
have a couple channels, but I'm not really doing a lot with them right now. So maybe
Gotcha.
one day. We'll see.
And you can find the podcast here on most social media platforms at Pizza Party Pod. And if you want to join the group that we're part of, those Christian Geeks, find, I think there's an Instagram page now, or there has been. I saw it the other day. It showed up at those Christian Geeks. Or you can check out the Discord. You can join the Discord. Links down below. Again, with all of our social media links. So without further ado, you guys have a good rest of your day. Whatever our tagline is, because we probably need to come up with something.
Eat pizza.
Yes.
Have a party.
Yes.
Oh, thank you for tuning into the show where, the 3 hardest things to talk about are politics, pizza, and religion. And we hit all 3 because we're not cowards. I don't know.
Hey!
Touche. All right. Let's end the session. Let's see how well this.
Later.
Rusty Crad, yeah.